What's up, nerds? Harbinger here. Season 2. Season 2 of the YouTube series, How to Program. This year we are investigating the mysteries of Python. We're going to be doing Python concepts. We finally have the software and the hardware up and running. So I'm equally excited as you guys. Going to make a video today on conditionals. I know how important conditionals are. They let me check if something is true. And I'm definitely looking forward to getting some of the material out to you guys. Wouldn't be a Harbinger video stream though without a meme. And I like dead memes because I'm not cool enough to stay current. So let me yeet one up on the screen. So what are you? The Senate. You can't go wrong with that. Seriously, I try to make Senate jokes however I can about Emperor Palpatine. I guess less said about this better. Anyway, so let's get rolling here. So in Python, we have variables, and it wouldn't be a very good computer if it couldn't make decisions based on the given data. So I'm gonna make a variable called like num or something like that. And I'm probably gonna make this better because that font size is terrible. Anyway, you gotta love the Consoles font. I hope it consoles you. LOL. And I'm gonna put like some number there. So maybe it's 13, maybe it's negative 12, maybe it's 0, maybe it's something. I really don't know, but it works. I initialized the num variable. So I gotta see if a student passed or failed based on that. So I could change it to grade or whatever, but I'm gonna go with num because I'm gonna use num a lot. Right? Of course, in programming, I'm not constrained to just like a single variable. I can use like 1,000 variables if I wanted, but this should be fine. So anyway, if num is at least a 65, the student passed. Otherwise, they failed. So I'm going to type that. Like, there's no character for greater than equal to, right? There's no single character that I can type that it would pop up on the screen. But in Python, we have that. That's a greater than followed by an equal sign. That means greater than equal to. So if it's a 65 or more, and then there's a colon. And the colon is kind of like, hey, if this condition is met, do the following. So I can't have the same indent that I would normally have with code. Code normally in Python has the entire same indent all the way down, right? But the consequences of the if are indented. And they all had to be indented the same. So print something like, you passed. So far, so good. And that means if I have num initialized to something like 99 or 65 or 73 or 1006, whatever, it's going to say you passed. And if I have a grade like 64 or 2 or negative 19, then it's not going to say anything because I didn't tell it what to do. So I'm going to have this alternative here where it says, otherwise, else is like otherwise. You failed. So that's kind of like a basic conditional program, right? Hey, did you have a 65 or more? If so, you passed. Otherwise, you didn't. So that's nice. If we wanted more consequences, we could have it right here, like congrats or something like that, but you don't have to. Now, I think some students realize that it's not always like an either or format, right? Sometimes there are multiple conditions you could be checking. So maybe we want to give them a letter grade. So we could say something like, if it's at least a 90, maybe they got an A. So you got an A. Congrats. But what if they have like a grade in the 80s? Maybe they got a B. So I can't say this. This is what my Java people really want to do. And I understand that because when you read it out loud, it makes sense. Hey, if your grade is this, blah. Otherwise, if your grade is this, blah. But in Python, it's slightly different. I'd like to think it's a little bit more efficient. It's elif. So else, if becomes elif. And I think what people really want to do, look, I'm going to do it really inefficiently and wrongly. Then I'm just going to do it inefficiently. Then I'm going to do it the best way. So I think what a lot of people want to do is they want to do this. They want to say, hey, if your grade is at least an 80, and it's less than 90, right? So I have to leave a note here like this is wrong. What Python really likes to do, and what most computer programming languages like to do, they compare two things at once, right? They're really good at comparing this to that. And when they compare this to that, they can kind of figure it out, but they don't like to compare three things at once, and that's kind of what you're asking it to do. Hey, this to this to this, all in one shot, and thanks but no. So that's wrong. But what I can do instead, I can say elif 80 is less than or equal to num, and num is less than 90. That's correct. You know, I could tell them like print you got a B, print acceptable, but you know, do better. Something like that. So that works. And I'm gonna leave a comment there like works but inefficient. Last but not least, what I could do, you know, I guess I'll leave it to the end to show you what I could do to make it the most efficient way possible. But it's going to be predicated on the idea that if this is true, do this. Otherwise, go check the stuff that comes after you. Right? So, otherwise, let's see, if... So now we got to find out if they got a C. So, same deal. You know, 70 less than or equal to num, which is less than... that was close. And num is less than 80. Print C. See you later, the grade's not good enough. Otherwise, you fail. So even if I got like a 65 or something like that, fail. You know, we have high standards here at CNS. I bet there are people, though, that get a little bit uncomfortable because there's this kind of happening in the middle. So it's okay to group things with parentheses. You know, that makes sense. You know, if you can see it, hey, go evaluate this, and then go evaluate this. And I think we all know that logically, and means they both have to be true in order to check the consequences, or means one of them has to be true in order to get inside the if. So and means, you know, hey, this has to work and this has to work in order for it to be in here. Whereas or means at least one of these is true, then we're good, let's keep looking. Anyway, so print C, that's nice. So I'm going to stop here with this whole program flow. I don't really need to do all the stuff that comes afterwards, but I do want to make it more efficient. So this is nice and all, but if num greater than equals to 80. So I'm going to delete these for a moment just so you can kind of see the program flow a little bit better. Hey, if you got at least a 90, you got an A. Otherwise, which means if you didn't get something more than or equal to 90, if, there's probably an 8 there, right? Otherwise, if you broke an 80, you got a B. Otherwise, so same thing. This means, hey, if you have at least a 90, you got an A. Otherwise, if you didn't get over a 90 or more, you check to see if they got an 80 or more. Otherwise, if they didn't, check to see if they got a 70 or more. Otherwise, then else. So you can have an unlimited number of elifs. See, this is dangerous. If I don't have that, I just have this. This means if you got a 95, you got an A, congrats. And you also broke an 80, so you got a B. So if you got a 95, you got an A and a B. That's why elif's important, because elif says, hey, if this wasn't true, then go check this. Right? So you got to be careful with just separate ifs. Separate ifs work, and you have to be a little bit more careful. Whereas if elif else is the thing too. You don't always have to have an else, but it's permissible, and I want to show it here. So there's that. One other thing we need to do, though, while we're at it, I want to show, in addition to the and, because I should really be careful about what if they have like more than like 110 or something like that. What if there was an extra credit question, but sometimes when I'm typing in grades pretty quickly, I mistype, and instead of 100 on a quiz, I put 1,000 in for a student. Like I hit the 0 one too many times. So they have grades of like 1,000% in the grade book or something like that, and their average is something crazy, and I shouldn't be able to enter something like that. There should be a limit. So I'm going to put in something like this. Like, we'll account for extra credit, but nothing wild. I could, though, put on the inside, I could nest it. I could say something like that. So this says, hey, if you broke a 90, go check on the inside. So you broke a 90, check on the inside. Oh, did you have it like less than or equal to 110? Because if so, you got an A. So if I had a grade like 95, it would be, well, you broke a 90. Let me look inside here. 95. Is 95 less than or equal to 110? Yes. So you got an A. Congrats. That's great. If I had like a 1,000, you know, hey, is 1,000 greater than 90? Yes. So let me look inside. Is 1,000 less than or equal to 110? No. Else, print the grade is more than the limit, or something like that. Now, my program flow people, my Java veterans and other people who are kind of looking at it are probably thinking, gee, that seems excessive, you know, you gotta be really careful. This else, you know, with which if is it matched? It looks like it's this one, but at the same time, who knows, right? There could be some weird programming rule, and maybe it's matched with that one. I mean, if it's backed up, these guys are matched. I mean, this elif doesn't make any sense at that point, but it's all about indent. So this else matches with that if, therefore these guys are paired. This elif is indented the same as this if, therefore these guys are paired. Like I said, if I backed this guy up, all of this code is permissible, as long as I backed up print here too. So this else would go with this if, because they're indented the same. Suddenly this elif becomes untenable, right? I can't just have like a otherwise if, because there's nothing to attach the otherwise to. So we got to be careful with that. It's okay to do strings. It's okay to check equality. So I think people should be pretty careful, because let me show you one of the most missed equality checks in programming. So let's say I have a variable called like AMT or something like that. You know, I'll switch to grade. And the grade is whatever. So some number goes here. That works. And instead of just checking if they passed or failed, I want to know if they're right on the edge. You know, maybe the school is checking for at-risk students. Maybe they want to identify the kids who got a 64 so they can get extra academic support or something like that. You know, that's important, and schools want to know. So I could say something like, if grade equals 64, you know, print, wow, that was close. Keep trying. This doesn't work. You know, when you read it out loud, you're like, oh, if the grade is 64, print this. A single equal sign sets something equal. It's called an assignment operator. Hey, grade, you are equal to something. So a single equal sign kind of messes it up. So in programming, we do double. Right? So if grade equals 64, so this means to check equality, hey, if the grade is 64, print, wow, that was close. So this is what people are really thinking when they're programming ifs and equalities. So just note, not three, note a single equals sets a Most people get this wrong. The first time they're doing it, the second time, the 50th time, whatever. It's easy to get this wrong. So just be careful, please. So as long as you know that keywords like or and not is a thing too. I think people, when they think not equals, are probably thinking that. That's good, right? That's not equal to, because you don't have a single character for not equal to. And other than that, I think that's it. You know, variables are kind of weird the first time you see them. On Lab 1, if you struggled, that was okay, because you haven't really programmed before. And variables are kind of a big deal. They're kind of heady. You know, it's tough to wrap your head around all of it. Whereas ifs, like you've been saying ifs forever. You know, you've been hearing it when you were a little kid, and you're always going to use ifs, and there's decisions to make. So that's just a natural process for people. You know, variables, not so much. But I think if people say it out loud sometimes, they have an easier time with this. And if they draw the flowchart from Unit 1, and if you draw a flowchart, you're going to find this thing easier too. So just be advised that the programming assignment relies on everything. If, elif, else. There's some nots in there, some ors and ands, some variable updates. You know, you don't know if AMT equals 0 is in there, and maybe that happens. Like maybe we're counting the number of at-risk students, so that's permissible also. Just be advised, everything in this video is legal for the lab. Good luck. There's 2 versions, so why don't you pick the one you think is best for you, and if you're not sure, do the smart thing, you know, try the expected ones, and then if you finish early, try impressed. But good luck, see you soon, and Harbinger out!